What up, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to this channel. On this channel, we demystify the world for you so that you can ethically impact and dominate your industry. And hopefully you can impact the world for the positive. You can reach your full potential. I think one piece of the puzzle when it comes to doing that is broadcast your message worldwide to journalists, to bloggers, to influencers, and really getting access to a whole huge array of people that are going to kind of have this ripple effect of echoing your message online. So specifically in today's video, I want to talk about PR, media attention, media databases, how to build your own, and also one that I'm going to be sharing with you, and also journalists and reporters and how I get them to write about you. So we're talking a lot about that in today's YouTube video, and it's coming up right after this. Hey, welcome back again to the channel. My name is Salvador Briggman, and the media is a very mysterious component of crowdfunding, but also when it comes to launching a new product into the world. And I was really lucky to kind of discover the key to that puzzle piece, or to discover that missing puzzle piece rather, very early on in my career. I started in the crowdfunding industry in 2012 when it comes to this particular industry, and I was living in New York City at the time. And I sort of stumbled upon a few techniques that actually work to get into the media. And I started to use these techniques and started to have incredible, mind-blowing results. I'm talking about getting into Wall Street Journal, getting into the New York Times, getting into CNN, Hypebot, list goes on, the Washingtonian. I had tons of different media publications early on in my career that started to cover my work. And I continue to use these techniques consistently to get into the media whenever I really want to, whenever I'm coming out with something new. So what I want to share today is some of those tricks, some of those techniques which you can use, and also some other resources which I think are going to help supercharge your media outreach. If you want to get journalists and bloggers writing about you, that's what I really want to talk about in the video. So the first thing I want to share with you is that there is a tried and true method for getting into the media, and it's really about understanding the way in which the media works. I'm going to go through a couple different methods in this video. So the first one I want to talk about is really understanding what the media does. All the media does is get attention from discussions which are ongoing in the public consciousness, if you want to put it that way. Basically, conversations that people care about, topics of conversations as well that people care about. For example, there are several different media formats which every single news outlet, every single television, every single television channel, every single paper out there, every single blogger is going to cover if it comes across their desk in a story format. So the first piece of the puzzle when it comes to getting into the media is to identify the current trending topics that are being talked about in the media. There's a lot of ways to do this. Obviously, if you're just getting started, you can use sort of low-hanging fruit when it comes to Google News or looking at X and seeing the different trending conversations, really just watching the television and seeing what are the actual trending topics that are being discussed in the news. Now, if you have a specific product or if you have a specific project or something like that, and you're trying to get that into the news, the question is, how do you position your story in order to connect with the overall trend in some kind of a meaningful way? So for example, let's just say that you have a trend which you've noticed that's happening in the news that's talking about location independence and the fact that people are working from everywhere, they're no longer going to the office and those kinds of things. How can you connect your product or your project into that specific trend? Well, this is what's known as a media angle. And what you do in order to get into the news is you come up with several specific media angles for your story or for your project or for your product, and then you go out there and you use these different media angles with different publications. So for example, I just say one publication is talking about gadgets and gizmos, right? And there's that overarching trend that's talking about that we're all starting to work from home. So what you do is you insert your product into that story and you say, look, here's a great story idea. This is already a trending topic, talking about working from home. Why don't you do a story on some of the top gadgets or gizmos that allow you to easily work from home in terms of your bags or storage for your laptop or holding your things, right? Really easy way to go to a cafe. These products can help you work from home. So what you do again is you insert your product into a trending topic and you have that angle of the story for that specific publication, which in this case was a gadget or gizmo. Now let's just say that in that same trending topic kind of theme, there's another publication that talks more about generally about corporations and talks more about business news, that kind of stuff. And you want to tailor that exact same product to a different story, right? To a different story angle. So what you can do is you could, for example, survey your users or people that are interested in your product, or even talking with people that purchased your product before. You can ask them, how and why do you use this product? Do you use this product to work from home? How to use it? You can gather a little bit of data, maybe even just a couple of testimonials of why people are saying that they like to work from home home or their thoughts on that specific trend, you can bring it then to a news story. You can say, look, this is what my customers are saying about why they're working from home. These are the people that have purchased our bag, or the people that are, love our product or our brand. And this is what they're saying. And you can give them some of those quotes and some of those stories. They can run with that, and they can then insert that into a media story. So you can almost hand them that story. You can become more of an expert at sharing advice. And again, you then get a media link to your actual brand or your company. People read that article, and then they go and check out your actual product or your brand, which is to help people who are working from home. The second technique that I want to talk about when it comes to getting into the news, getting media, bloggers, publishers to write about you, is a technique that I call trading up the value chain. So what does that mean? Trading up the value chain. So this is actually something that I talk about in my free course on PR, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But what you can do is, if you can get a small blogger or a publisher or a small YouTuber or even an Instagram or an influencer to post a story about your product specifically or about your project, you get them to do a micro story, I call it. What you can do is you can take that story and you can share that with other bloggers, other reporters, other influencers. You can say, look, other people are covering this product because it works. And you can show, for example, some of the testimonials of people who are loving this, or why this is a unique, interesting trend, or how it's getting a lot of views on TikTok, right? And then this other blogger, this reporter sees that, and they can see that if they write a story about the specific product or project, they too are going to have a trending piece in the news. And this goes back to the business or the business model of media, bloggers, and news organizations, which is they want eyeballs so they can make advertising revenue and advertising dollars. So you can trade up the value chain, get a bunch of different smaller publications or even media-sized publications to write about your product or project or what you're doing, bring that to a larger publication and say, look, all these guys are starting to write about us. Why don't you do it too? Because there's a huge audience of people that are checking this out. And then they have a built-in guaranteed audience if they publish a story on you, which means they're going to look great in front of their editor. They're going to look incredible in front of their staff. They're going to get tons of traffic and eyeballs, which is going to make them advertising revenue. And it's a no-brainer to write a story about your product.
Want to take all the stress out of fulfilling your Kickstarter rewards? Fulfillrite is the turnkey solution that puts product delivery on autopilot. The Top Campaigns uses trusted high-tech provider to store, package, and ship their products. Focus on growing your business. Leave shipping to the experts. Don't wait. Get a custom quote from Fulfillrite today. Link in the description.
The third one goes a little bit beyond, just having a physical product or just having a project of some kind. I'm trying to gear this towards a larger audience, right? When it comes to many different types of crowdfunding campaigns, it's really about understanding the news cycle. Okay, so there are stories that cycle throughout the entire year. For example, Christmas stories. What are the gifts you should buy or something other? There are Valentine's Day stories. What are some great gifts ideas for that? There's some other stories when it comes to Father's Day, when it comes to Mother's Day, when it comes to the summer months, getting ready to get a six-pack or to get really nice-looking abs for the beach, or when you're going into fall. Like, these are really interesting ways in which to, if you're going to go hiking this upcoming falls, or in October, where you should go, what are some of the products you should have with you. If you can understand the news cycle, the different types of stories that cycle throughout the year, and as well other ones, for example, like natural disasters, major, issues of injustice that are always showing up in the news. If you can actually understand where these stories are happening throughout the year, you can then tailor your product or your project or your cause into that exact story. And in doing that, you can have a story which has legs, as they call it, which means it's very easy. If this comes across an editor's desk, they can approve it and they can say, yeah, let's do a story on that, right? Because it fits into that specific type of story which they're looking for. That's a great theory, Sal, but how do you actually do that, right? So I'll give you one or two tactics which I say would be very simple. Let's just say you have a new fitness product which you've launched, right? And you're starting to get some traction in that product. Maybe you get some people to check it out or buy it, right, with a crowdfunding campaign, or even have people that are just saying nice things. You could, for example, take that story and position that as being, okay, we're going into the new year. Here's a great way to jumpstart your upcoming year when it comes to getting fit. Here's another story. You could take that exact same product and founder and can have a different angle and have the same cyclical story throughout the year. For example, here's the new year, time to get serious about your business. Here is one fitness business owner that is doing just that. And then you could have the entire angle of the story be more so about the founder, the business, the startup, the entrepreneurship angle, and you can get a media hit that way. So being aware of the cycles of stories that are happening throughout the year allows you then tailor your angle to that, and then you can get in the media very easily. The third thing I want to mention, or the next thing I want to mention on this video, is that when it comes to getting people to do something for you, whether that's sales or marketing or PR, or in this case, media exposure, it's about relationships and it's about contacts. Now, I hate that is the fact that people will always say like, oh, I don't want to have to get contacts in this industry. I don't want to have to develop relationships, right? But it's true. The more you get access to people who have access to the ability to write stories or influence an editor, or influence a publication, the easier it is to get into these major media channels. So there's two ways to do this. One is you could actually go out there from day one and start to develop some media contacts, some relationships, right? So start to email back and forth, get their contact information, start to show them and share with them the story as it's coming together, and start to actually build some relationship with that person. This is kind of like business development, if you want to think of it that way. And really what it takes is a lot of persistence and a lot of time. And if you have enough people that you're reaching out to, you are guaranteed to develop some great relationships from that, and you can get some media stories. The downside is it takes time. Second thing is you could pay a media agency, right? You could pay a PR agency, a media agency to do this on your behalf with the contacts that they've already established. Downside to this is it's probably going to cost you at least $5,000 to $10,000 in order to hire a reputable PR, marketing, or media agency when it comes to just getting you media hits representing your brand. Some of you have that in your budget, other people do not. The third way, if you don't want to build your own media database in terms of getting relationships, or you don't want to go out there and hire a PR agency, is to get access to an existing database of media contacts, journalists, reporters who have written about similar stories in the past and thus might be open to writing about yours. That's kind of where this comes in terms of this video. I wanted to give you access to our media database that we actually partnered with in terms of creating a PR media database for people who have written about crowdfunding campaigns in the past, projects in the past when it comes to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and as well new product launches in many different categories. This is thousands of contacts that I'm talking about that I'm going to be sharing with you for literally a ridiculously low investment. So if you do want to check this out, I don't know how long we're actually going to be doing this. This is kind of like experimental, and this is something that we hope that people are going to be able to use and get some media hits. And also you can request as well if you want certain media publications. I'm going to include a link down below at crowdcrux.com/database. Again, this is something that we are partnering on and want to make available to you, and hopefully you find it to be helpful. And again, it's really pennies on the dollar to gain access to this sucker, but you do have to put in the work to actually email these people, which I'm going to talk about next. The next tip is that even if you do have the contacts, you have the people who are writing actively stories, and you're doing it within the right story cycle. If you don't have the right product, and I don't mean necessarily your physical product, but if you don't have the right story to share with them, they're probably not going to believe you. They're not going to have a lot of credibility around what you're doing, and they might even think this guy is off his rocker, he's crazy, he's a nut. Why would I share his story with my audience, right? So the next part is really to have a great media kit, to have a press release ideally, to have some great high resolution photos, or at least have some video, have some supporting information, a pitch which you can send this journalist, right, when it comes to that. So we've actually included that in the media database, but as well, if you really want to make a difference in terms of getting PR attention, media hits, if you want to get journalists to cover you, I have an entire free course that's going to share with you exactly how to put together a media kit like this, and as well, more of the strategies which you can use to reach out to the crowd. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I got a great free course out there on PR, specifically PR for crowdfunding campaigns. Go and check out this free course. It is a game changer at crowdcrux.com/PR. The link is crowdcrux.com/PR. And I'm going to finish off this video with a couple of easy tools and tricks, again, which I think can help you even more. So man, if you are learning something, if you're getting some value, give me a thumbs up on this video. Let me know. Come subscribe to this channel for more content like this. I'm going to lead off or end this video with just a couple of more tricks and tools which you can use. The first one I'd recommend is going and checking out Haro, H-A-R-O, Help a Reporter Out. This is a great service out there where you can actually insert yourself as an expert and get quoted expert quotes in terms of different media publications. Really great service. Another one I want to mention is BuzzSumo. BuzzSumo is a great tool you can use to actually see which stories are trending and thus go and contact the actual person who wrote that story. And you can do a lot of investigative journalism and reporting that way. So you can actually go and reach out to these people and you can get them to cover your campaign. The next one is actually really simple, is Google News. Go and check out Google News, and you can usually filter this by published stories by a certain duration or a certain amount of time. Someone published a story within a certain specific time area, for example, within the last 24 hours hours in the last week, you can see active publications and reporters that are covering news stories about crowdfunding, about Kickstarter, about your specific product category, about your genre, your industry, right? And you can use that to begin to create a media list of contacts and people and publications which you can then reach out to. So it's really simple, but I recommend using that as well. And finally, the last thing I'm going to mention on this video is that if you just kind of want to, pay a little bit to get a little bit of media exposure, you could also consider doing a press release. There are sites out there like PR, Newswire, etc., which you can use to do a press release. The pro of this is that you're pretty much guaranteed a little bit of media exposure. The downside is that it usually is a little bit more costly. And in addition, you're not guaranteed a higher net or a higher tier of exposure. So it's usually just kind of people that are kind of covering interesting news story, right? And the better the story is, the more likely they are to cover it. It's not necessarily guaranteed. You usually get some low-hanging fruit, but when it comes to larger publications, mid-sized publications, you usually have to put in a little bit more work. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to check out those resources and the links, again, the link down below in the description. If you want even more help with your campaign, I do individual one-on-one intensive coaching with people that are serious about launching a crowdfunding campaign. So whether you're in the middle of one, or you're going to be launching one in a couple of weeks or in a couple of months, this is a great option to build a strong foundation behind your campaign, to light a fire underneath your campaign. That way, you actually exceed your funding goal when it comes to how much you're trying to raise on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. You discover even more tricks of the trade. There are so many tools out there that I didn't even have time to mention on this video. So go and check out the links in the description. And if you'd like to book an individual one-on-one coaching call with me, go and check out that link down below. Again, my name is Salvador Briggman, and I will see you next time.